honour to rise on behalf of the constituents of Portage Lisgar, and I rise today in support of our Conservative Opposition Day motion, which calls on the government to give immediate relief by ending all federal taxes on gas and diesel for the rest of the year, including the GST. Now, this motion is very straightforward, and for the millions who are being squeezed at the pump, at the grocery store, on the farm, or simply buying the essentials of everyday life, it is badly needed. Let us start with the fact that Canada cannot control everything happening around the world. We can't control instability in the Middle East or just snap our fingers and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. But that does not mean we are powerless. A nation is judged not by whether it can prevent every storm abroad, but by how wisely it prepares and adapts to the storms that it cannot prevent. As the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus stated, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." The government can and should do more to help. It can stop taxing people every time that they fill up their vehicles, and it can stop making a bad situation worse. Families are already in a cost of living crisis before this latest spike at the pump. Groceries were already too expensive. Rent and mortgages were already too high. Utility bills were already eating up more and more of the family budget. And food banks had countless people walking through their doors for the first time. This is something that is happening in every corner of our country, and now the price at the pump is pouring fuel on that fire. And what did the Minister of Finance have to say about it? He said, "We have acted already." Excuse me, Mr. Speaker, I am surprised he didn't just tell my constituents to go and eat cake while he was at it. I can assure him that the family filling up their minivan does not think that the federal government has acted enough on this issue. And it will come as news to the farmer who needs diesel to seed, to spray, to harvest, and to haul everything. Canadians don't fill their tanks with liberal excuses, but boy, I bet they wish they could. The government says it has acted already, but Canadians are still paying more. Gas prices are 13% higher in Canada than in the United States. That's about 22 cents more per litre on average. Now, many folks from my region, from the southern part of my riding, regularly head across the border to save those dollars to fill up their tanks. But they wish they didn't have to. Life is simply so expensive, it's worth committing the extra time to travel internationally to fuel up. Gas now costs 50 cents more per litre than it did when the global oil prices were the exact same levels in 2014. That is the point, Mr. Speaker. It is not just global oil markets. It is not just events happening half a world away. It is about deliberate choices made right here at home by a government that kept adding costs and kept ignoring the consequences. The government has layered taxes, regulations, costs, and waste upon everything else. And then, when people ask for relief, they just shrug it off and say, no, we've already done our part. Now, I represent a whole bunch of good, honest, hardworking folks who call rural Manitoba home. Now, in rural Manitoba, driving is not optional. There is no subway from Winkler to Morden. There's no LRT from Carman to Portage. And there's no magic electric bus that takes the farmer to the parts counter when he needs something, a nurse to a night shift, or a senior living on an acreage to the nearest grocery store. For rural Canadians, the vehicle is not a luxury. It is just simply how life works. When gas goes up, rural people do not have the option of just driving a little less. They have to eat the cost, they have to absorb it, and they have to cut somewhere else. That's why our Conservative team will continue to push on this issue. Now, I think about the seniors who are on fixed incomes, who have worked hard their entire lives. They've paid their taxes, they've raised their families, they've built our communities, they did what was asked of them and tried to follow the promise of Canada. And I had the chance to speak with so many of them over the last couple of weeks back home in the riding. And a staggering amount told me just how hard things are right now. That they are struggling to get by. That they can't absorb yet another increase in the cost of living. They're looking at the price of meat. They're looking at the price of fruits and vegetables. They're making choices that no senior should have to make in our advanced first world country, in our beautiful nation of Canada. Do they fill the tank or do they fill the fridge? Do they go to that appointment or do they save the money on gas? Do they buy the healthier food or do they just buy what is cheapest? Do they risk the perceived pain to their pride to ask their family for help if they need it? Or to visit a food bank for the first time? That is not dignity, Mr. Speaker. That is not the Canadian promise. And it certainly matters for parents. Every parent knows the feeling. The kids are growing, they are eating everything that they can in sight. And the clothes that you're hoping they could wear one or two more times just simply don't fit anymore. And now the grocery bill looks like a car payment. The car payment looks like a mortgage, and the mortgage looks like something from another planet. And now we are faced with higher and higher fuel costs. These costs are baked into every product on every shelf, and this is the part that the government does not seem to understand. Fuel is not just something that people buy at a gas station. Fuel is inside the price of absolutely everything that we buy. It moves the seed, it moves the fertilizer, it moves the crop, it moves the cattle, it moves the potatoes, it moves the groceries, it moves the parts, it moves our economy. And when diesel goes up, the price of food goes up. And this is partly why we have the highest food inflation in the G7. When transportation goes up, the price of everything goes up. When the government taxes fuel, it is not just taxing the person standing looking at the pump wondering when it will ever stop. It is taxing the entirety of the supply chain. And our farmers are hit especially hard. Farmers don't have the option of just parking the tractor because the price of diesel is too high. The crop has to go in, crop protection products have to be applied, and harvest must take place. The grain then has to move, and the bills just keep coming. And this was when fertilizer prices were already sky high. Now, farmers have faced huge increases in input costs. Fuel, equipment, repairs, parts, interest rates, transportation, and taxes all piled on to nearly over $160 billion in debt, with government continuously piling on more and more red tape because, Mr. Speaker, every extra cost eventually shows up somewhere else. Now, in my hometown of Portage, we have major food processors like Simplot and McCain's, and they are part of a food supply chain that reaches far beyond Manitoba. When fuel and diesel costs rise, their costs rise too. And those costs, they don't just simply vanish into thin air, they move down the line. The consumer pays. And that is why tax relief at the pump is not some narrow little measure. It is a broad measure of affordability for relief for the entire economy. And let us talk about the hypocrisy of the carbon tax. But before I do, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to indicate I'm splitting my time with the member for Battleford-Crowfoot. Now, you might recall that for years, Liberals told Canadians that the carbon tax had made them better off. They said the rebate covered it and more. They said anyone who disagreed was simply spreading misinformation. Then, when they finally removed part of their carbon tax, they bragged that it was saving families money. Well, which one is it, Mr. Speaker? If removing the carbon tax saves families right now, then it was costing families money before. But they would never admit that. But both things cannot be true at the same time. For years, Conservatives said the carbon tax was making life more expensive. For years, this Liberal government denied it. And now the Liberals want credit for partially admitting what everybody else already knew intuitively. Now, Canadians are not asking for a miracle. They are asking for relief. And this House can give it to them today. And if the government simply adopts our idea, it will immediately put money back into people's pockets. Every MP in this place has a choice. They can defend keeping all of these taxes on, or they can stand with people who are the ones paying the bill. Nobody is saying that this motion is going to solve every challenge in the country or our world. It does not. But it will lower costs and give people some breathing room that they so badly need. It tells Canadians that their government is not completely deaf to what is happening in their lives. So let us stop pretending that everything is outside of our control. There are things in our control that we can do to make a difference in the lives of the citizens we are here to represent. Suspend the federal taxes on gas and diesel for the rest of the year. Give Canadians real relief, not another lecture. That's what this motion does, Mr. Speaker. It lowers costs. It respects taxpayers and it puts families first, and that is why I am proud to support it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.